A lot of the Civil War also was fought at seaports around the southeast coast. And actually, the beginning of the Civil War was April 12, 1961 at Fort Sumter. We'll be there later today. But first we're going to visit Fort Fisher, which is Carolina Beach, North Carolina. And the purpose of this fort was to protect the river and harbor of Wilmington, North Carolina. And like most monuments, the tour starts at a museum. And this one was no different than any. It had a lot of old war materials, guns, cannons, and a lot of things to see. So this is Fort Fisher, and it was an earthen fort, which really made it withstand the bombardments. And I cannot imagine rushing a fort like this. And there's the cannon that we were sitting next to. The inside of the fort was through little small entrances like this to get up to the cannons. These steps were built just for us tourists, so we wouldn't have to climb through the dark. Due to the shifting sands, a lot of the fort was being destroyed. So what they did was brought in a bunch of rocks to stabilize the beach. Now it's time for a ferry ride.
We're going on the Southport Ferry back to our destination at the campground.
Rig on the ferry. Don't feed the wildlife. Now it's time to tour where the Civil War began, Fort Sumter. The tour begins with a 25-minute boat ride from Charleston Harbor. The fort was built on a man-made island in the middle of the harbor. The current fort looks nothing like it used to. It used to be over 3 stories high with hundreds of guns. Once inside the fort, there's a small museum with a model of what the fort used to look like. Since it was made out of brick, it was almost completely destroyed during the war. The fort served as a lighthouse for many years and was under the control of the Army until 1947. Once it became part of the Park Service, they started excavating the site. And much to their surprise, they came upon over a dozen cannons that had been buried for over 75 years. The tour only lasted an hour at the fort, so we had to get going and get back to the boat. First shots of the Civil War were fought here at Fort Sumter. At that time, this was 3 stories high. Back in Charleston, we walked around and looked at many of the churches and had a really great dinner in the city. Thank you for watching the tours of these 2 important historical forts. See you later.